Welcome back. Excited to be joined with Go Nation Sports Director Brian Holland. Brian, we've seen you a lot for baseball season. We haven't talked football yet. Battle of the Golden Boot is this weekend. The Hogs and LSU, kind of two teams that you didn't think would be on the same trajectory. Both now have interim head coaches, going to be going out on the coaching search. We'll talk about that momentarily. But what's just kind of the vibe been of the last few weeks with Brian Kelly out, Frank Wilson comes in? How weird has it been at the football program in Baton Rouge?
Yeah, it has been weird. That's the operative word. You nailed it. I mean, I went on StubHub, I guess, a couple days ago and just looked at, hey, what's the vibe? Because I can hear from, my friends, the fans that I interact with on social media, those sorts of things. But we all have blind spots. So I just kind of got on StubHub. You can get a lower bowl ticket, basically in the end zone for $32. So vibes are not vibing right now in Baton Rouge. Okay, like Frank Wilson is doing everything that he can. We can talk about those interims. I mean, he really is. They've got the drum back out that Coach O's one beat, one heartbeat. So one team, one heartbeat, I should say. It's he's saying all the right things. The team, we just talked to them a couple days ago. They're saying all the right things. Hopefully Whit Weeks gets out there because he's really the key to this game. We can kind of get into the X's and O's later. But as far as in and around Baton Rouge, man, 11:45 did not do them any favors. Look, I know LSU has won 8 of the last 9, and Arkansas always makes it interesting and then gets their heart broken at the end sometimes. But if there's a year where things are lining up for Arkansas to bring the boot back to Arkansas, man, this is a really good opportunity.
Don't say that too loud because I think Arkansas fans would be a little too excited if the Baton Rouge people are saying, oh, well, Arkansas might have it this year with everything that's gone on, right? It's been crazy. But $32, I can't get over that. That's how much it is for a lower bowl seat. I remember this game a couple of years ago. I was back here watching on TV the last time it was in Death Valley, and just seeing all the videos yesterday going through and editing our stuff, like it was crazy, the environment. What do you think that 11:45 kickoff slot kind of does for the atmosphere? Because we'll talk X's and O's in a second, but I think that's more important. If tickets are $32 and it's an early game, are people going to even want to go and see two really weird football teams right now play?
I've heard a lot of, some of my friends go, yeah, I gave up the tickets this weekend. We're going to go do summer, we'll go to the camp and hunt, So it's interesting. It's, a lot of $40 tickets. I mean, like there were a lot open. There are a lot available there for if you want to catch a game. Unfortunately, there's no fan base that is more obsessed with night games than LSU. It's built into their tradition. That's what they believe in. So, look, every fan base wants the primetime game. I don't think anyone, maybe save a couple programs in the Big Ten just because that's their tradition, I guess. No one wants noon or before. So it's going to be interesting. The players, like I said, they're saying all the right things. But now you've got a 2-quarterback system. You want to talk about the game itself? I mean, like, it's rough in the setup for this one for LSU. So I just think even with Arkansas's defense, you go, oh, hold on. Like Dalen Green, Petrino, they got it rolling. But as an Arkansas fan base, we know, of course, they are just awful on defense. I mean, just terrible. And because I've watched a lot of Arkansas games this year, just trying to keep up with the rest of the SEC. I understand that that's the concern from Arkansas fans. But when you've got a quarterback like Garrett Nussmeier, who just, I don't know if he's seeing ghosts, it would be the right term, but just isn't seeing the windows that are actually open. So if the defense even leaves some windows open, man, it is kind of like a spooked QB1, but now he's got to look over his shoulder at QB2 as well. So it's going to be interesting on Saturday.
I love the Sam Darnold reference right there that he's seeing ghosts because that's what it feels like. I haven't done a ton of deep dive until this week really into LSU, and someone was telling me the other day, yeah, they're going to go 2 quarterbacks this week, and I was like, Nussmeier's playing that bad, and then when you look at it, you're right, like he is missing these easy windows. The performances haven't been what it was, so now you're bringing in a second quarterback. What can that do, especially because let's be real, Arkansas's defense is trash. Like there is no easy way to say it besides saying it cold honest as you can. It's a bad defense. They can't get turnovers. They can't sack the quarterback. They can't really tackle in the open field. But for the LSU quarterback battle, because I think that's where all, the money is of what's going to be interesting there. What have you heard? How, I guess, much of a leash is Nussmeier going to have this weekend against a bad defense?
I believe that Nussmeier, he wears 18. That is the leadership spot that is basically the captain of captains for LSU is getting that number 18 jersey. And we haven't seen it a lot for the quarterback spot, so it's kind of special. He's going to go out there and he's going to take the first snap, is what I believe. Past that, everything is open. Because really, if you talk about just beyond what he's put on film, really the genesis of this problem, or what has really helped it, I should say, is that you are now not healthy at the tackle positions. And so you're starting a true freshman, Carius Kern from the state of Arkansas, at left tackle. Well, you watch the Alabama tape and you can see there's problems, right? And people moving from left to right and all sorts of things. So they needed a more mobile quarterback just to survive back there, because Nussmeier's had a couple of injuries. They finally disclosed what it was at torso. I don't see him moving around like he usually does, even just confidence-wise. And you talk about seeing ghosts, just mentally it's kind of seeped into his game there. And they just needed someone who could, hey, when someone doesn't block or they don't have the right communication or whatever happens on the offensive line, it's very, very green. So, when you do get pressure, we need someone who can escape the pressure or at least prolong the play or make something happen. That's Michael Van Buren. He had some experience in SEC play at Mississippi State, for those who don't know, and then transferred here to LSU. So, yeah, that's really kind of where it starts. And then, they have not gotten the running game going. The best friend for a quarterback is the ground game. And they said, we're going to commit to the running game. Well, they 59 rushing yards against Alabama. Now it's Alabama, so they're very physical. You're hopefully going to find some more rushing lanes against Arkansas, you would think. But sometimes they just get into pass mode and they can't get out of their own way. And it's a commitment. You always hear that, like, the running game is a commitment. It's an attitude. LSU somehow, some way. I mean, we've seen the years of Les Miles where that's all they did. Toss, dive, right? It's just not there this year.
Yeah, a far cry from even that 2019 team. Again, that was one of the greatest offenses in college football teams of all time. But here we are, 2025. And we look ahead, right? Like, again, we've already mentioned Arkansas, bad defense. LSU, offense is very iffy. Michael Van Buren was a guy who came in last year at Mississippi State, like you mentioned, and he kind of lit up Arkansas a little bit. Like, Hog fans kind of have some bad memories. Put up 20, 30 points against the Razorbacks last year, and it was a defense he kind of carved. And luckily, again, Taylon Green and company did what they did, and they were able to establish the run. But Mississippi State last year was horrible. Arkansas's defense this year is also horrible. So LSU is a step above. Look, they're 5-3 right now. They're still playing for a bowl game. So for the Tiger fans out there and for the Hog fans, how big of a deal is this for the Tigers if they can get the win and get to bowl eligibility to at least feel good about something this year?
I just don't think that right now that's even the priority. I mean, I think the ticket whole thing that we just talked about, that speaks for itself. I mean, I think that they know what's coming because Arkansas has, even in bad years, just played LSU so tough. And like I said, if everything was lining up for the Hogs to get one and bring back the most dangerous trophy in all of sports, I love that thing. I hate it though. I would never want to take that off. You've seen how sharp the edges on that thing is.
It's scary. I've kind of tapped it, and I think I cut myself once. It's sharp.
It's legit. And only offensive linemen and defensive linemen are even allowed to take it off. I remember the Ed Orgeron year where they blew out Arkansas here in Death Valley, and they didn't even go pick it up. They left it as a sign of, you guys are that bad. You know what I mean? So Arkansas, if they can get one and they can feel good, I just don't think that that's reciprocated in this rivalry. And I don't really think there's an attitude of yeah, let's get a better bowl game so that we can go to Orlando in January. No, that's, I mean, the Tiger faithful, they'll show up wherever the party is, whether the party's in the parking lot or it's at a festival. They got a festival every other week here, or if it's inside Tiger Stadium, that's where they're going to be, and they're going to show up and they're going to show out. These trips to Florida, for the Citrus Bowl or whatever, the Outback Bowl, whatever they're called now, they have not found the party there in Florida.
Yeah, absolutely. A couple more, Brian, then we'll let you go. The last X's and O's, and then we'll kind of talk the coaching search because I'm a little intrigued in that. But the last X's and O's I got to ask you is if X has to happen, or if LSU wants to win, X has to happen. Fill in the blanks.
Yeah, I think it's imperative that Weeks plays. He's the X factor. I mean, when you talk about a guy who, Harold Perkins Jr., we've seen what he can do to Arkansas, right? Like that was crazy a few years ago. When Harold Perkins is basically saying that Whit Weeks is a better football player than he is, like that's wild to me. The athleticism there, they have just not filled in very well. And you see it in their run fits, you see it in pursuit. If there's anything that you need in this one, it is a Tiger linebacker who in the fourth quarter, when things may be turning bleak or you never know, or things are on the edge, he still is smiling and tackling you and running around. That's Whit Weeks. That is how you describe. Because I just looked it up. I mean, you guys probably have already had this stat for the last few days, but I just looked it up like an hour ago. Taylon Green averages 337 yards per game. Mm-hmm. Okay, the LSU total offense averages 341 points or yards per game, excuse me.
Yeah.
So you need someone who, when the play breaks down, finds it and doesn't allow that to be the play of the game. That's what Taylon Green could possibly do in Tiger Stadium on Saturday.
Yeah, and Taylon is at his best when he is scrambling and moving around. So if Whit can play, and hopefully he can for the Tigers, then that limits it, because Taylon is dangerous for his own team when he's scrambling out of the pocket and the ball's up here and he's got to hold on to it. That's when we've seen the turnovers, the bad decisions. That's why you've lost every single SEC game in the last couple of weeks, because of these negative plays that Taylon Green has made. It's sometimes he looks like Superman, other times he looks like Clark Kent out there, where you don't really know what version of Taylon Green you're going to get. Brian, before we let you run as well, let's talk a little bit about this coaching search for LSU, because as much as Arkansas fans don't really want to admit it, it does have direct correlation with what might happen here in Fayetteville. We know it's no secret LSU is a more desirable job right now to have than the Arkansas job. What have you heard about the LSU openings? Who do you got your eye on? What can you tell Arkansas fans that maybe they could go, okay, maybe that's not the person we should go with, because we're probably not going to beat out LSU?
All indicators is at the top level, the decision-making room, they're going in for Lane Kiffin. Mm-hmm. And I kind of made the pitch to Lane. I said, hey, look, if I'm Verge Osbury, the new athletics director here at LSU, and I'm going, well, I can win at Ole Miss. Don't you see? Yes, Lane. That's why we're in the room with you, is because you've elevated Ole Miss to this position. The problem is who does Lane look up to the most? It is Daddy. It is Nick Saban. He's even called him the father of all the Kirby and all them in the group text and all that. Lane, can you win like Daddy did at Alabama right now at Ole Miss? You can't. It has never been proven that you can do it like that. It has been proven that you can win multiple national titles here at LSU. And if you get the right head coach, it can look a lot like, the man that you look up to the most. So right. I think they're going, there's a reason why there's a $13 million offer sitting on Lane Kiffin's desk, and he has not signed it. He is going to hear LSU out. I don't know what's going to happen, but if I had to, gun to my head, just make a prediction, I would say Lane, because LSU is not going to want the guy from down the road at Tulane. That's an insult for the LSU brand, right? So,
which is John Summerall's good. Arkansas fans would be happy to have him.
He's a great coach. He really is. He's won at Troy. He's won at Tulane. Like, you leave some of the key recruiting pieces here. Corey Raymond, Frank Wilson, some of those guys who can recruit and they know LSU, they know Louisiana, and you get a great mind like that in. I think that they're just going to go all in on Lane. Past that, man, watch out. I've heard several people at LSU who are in prominent spots go, do not rule out Frank Wilson. It's the Coach O route, right?
Yeah.
You miss out on Tom Herman. He goes to Texas instead of taking your job. They went for Coach O. Coach O had to go through some bumps in the road. They lost to UAB, or no, sorry, excuse me, Troy. They lost to Troy. But then 2 years later, they've got one of the greatest teams of all time running up and down the field, and it worked for a time. So we'll see what they do from there.
And Tom Herman is not coaching at Texas anymore, where he ended up going, and didn't win a national championship. Here we are. But it's going to be exciting, fun to see. Maybe this time next year we'll have a Lane Kiffin, James Franklin matchup for Arkansas-LSU. That could be really interesting because these two teams going to see each other the next couple of years. I'm just saying anything could happen, Brian. Anything could happen.
I would love that. I would love for this game, especially with the trophy involved, really kind of elevate here in the next few years. Man, I would really love to see James Franklin back in the SEC too.
It would be a sight to see, but who knows what's going to happen? Only time can tell. Big thanks to Brian Holland for joining us. That's going to do it for right now. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you back here very shortly.